Once upon a time, there was a kid who was born in Madrid, Spain on the 18th of December in the year 1939. His name was Estanislao Eslava Rodriguez. He is 83 years old right now, and he is my grandfather from my father's side of the family. When he was a kid, his family was very poor, since Spain had just suffered its civil war and the economy was in a terrible state. He grew up in the streets, looking for anything to eat and trying to survive. Eventually, he became a teenager, and he was a troublemaker and a heartbreaker. He was just doing anything he wanted, until he had to join the military when he became a young adult. During that time, Spain was trying to maintain its colonies in Africa, and that was where he was deployed. He has countless stories, like when a friend of his died from a mine, when he was surrounded in the jungle, ran out of ammunition, and by pure luck, one of his comrades arrived just in time with supplies. When a novice jumped out of a plane the wrong way and he was almost killed by a rope that was attached to the novice, or when a motor exploded in his hand and all his fingers were cut off. He has an incredible amount of stories like that and many more waiting to be told. After his military service, he met my grandmother. They got married. Then he started working as an aircraft mechanic and a pilot. During this time, my two oldest uncles were born. After that, they moved to Canada since my grandfather was offered a job there. During that period of time, my dad and my aunt were born. They stayed in Canada for about 4 years before moving back to Spain, where my dad spent his childhood. It wasn't until 8 years after that that my grandfather was offered a job in Mexico, and they moved to Mexico. There was a point where they considered going back to Spain, but all my uncles and my dad were already either married or dating their future wives. So in the end, they stayed here in Mexico, and that brings us to this day. Actually, my grandfather lives between Morelia and Peru. Since all of us live in Morelia and he works in Peru, he's just going back and forward from Lima, Peru and Morelia, Michoacán. And that was the story of my grandfather's life. The end.